everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on issue 2 of Ultimate X-Men. Now, as you know, Ultimate X-Men was the next line for the Ultimate Marvel series, and after the success of Ultimate Spider-Man, we got Ultimate X-Men, which the early issues were done by Mark Millar, who only mainly watched the first two X-Men movies. So you can tell there was a lot more movie reference from the X-Men movies. And the cover mainly has the X-Men getting ready for action, with Wolverine looking jacked up. We see how, at the airport, one of Magneto's other mutants says, "I can't believe you just walked through the airport securely like that, Wolverine." "Three little words, bub. I'm a professional." And we see them going through, and we see that some of the team from Weapon X now know Wolverine's location, and of course, end up getting gunned down. And we see how Colonel Rafe says, "Hold your fire, boss. We got him." And of course, they manage to get Wolverine. We see how the Black Bird is flying through New York, with Marvel Girl joking with Beast about working on the Blackbird equipment, and make their way to the mansion. And of course, we see how Professor X lets them know about another potential mutant being captured, and thinks if it's Magneto, but of course Xavier points out that Magneto would be a little more prepared and would have leveled down half the city. So they kind of find out that the person is Wolverine, and also fought in the Gulf War. Now, for those who don't know, originally the plan for Ultimate Captain America was meant to have fought in the Gulf War, until being changed it to similar to Captain America's origin, fighting in World War II. I think it would be a good idea to have kind of seen a second Captain America who fought in the Gulf War or in Vietnam. And we see Xavier saying, "This is going to be dangerous. Operation Iceman. You've only been with us for a couple of weeks, so nobody's going to hold it against you if you prefer to sit this one out." But we see how Iceman points out that he is going to help Wolverine no matter what, and they head off. So of course we see how Colonel Rafe jokingly talks with Wolverine, saying, "That's right, soldier, welcome back to Weapon X." And of course we see him saying, "Whoa, easy, Tiger." And he even points out about the bars being made out of anti-adamantium, and he even uses his gun to torment Wolverine, and he even jokingly prefers back at the old days when they used to kind of mess with Wolverine and see his healing factor kick in. And he even has the soldiers saying, "Have as much fun as you like with him, boss. We're wiping his mind clean again once we're back to base. So he ain't gonna remember any names or faces anyway." And so we kind of see how the soldiers get trigger happy, and we see how the X-Men show up and saying, "Blow them away, Storm." And of course, they manage to use Storm's weather abilities to create a massive snowstorm that blows away weaponry and transports, and the X-Men getting ready. And we see how Colossus goes in to try and break out the bars, but finds out he needs the kind of digit codes. And we see how Colonel Rafe and one of his men try to get out quickly. And we see how once Wolverine's out, he goes after Colonel Rafe. And we see them saying, "Raw, nice bike. Don't just stand there catching flies in your mouth. Get after him." And we see how Colonel Rafe and his other soldier tries to get away, but of course end up crashing in a tree, and one of his soldiers' head sort of rolling down, saying, "Blawowski, holy mother of God, you just broke his freaking neck. Lucky." And of course they manage to calm Wolverine down, but of course wants to do this personally, but Marvel Girl whacks him around, and of course they manage to kind of leave Colonel Rafe behind, knowing that he's no longer a threat. We see Toad saying, "He's in, but we're Bloody lucky this time, Magneto. I mean, what were the chances of those Weapon X tossers crawling out of the woodwork like that? And we see how Magneto point out that he organised the whole event and knows that Charles Xavier would find it a bit too suspicious and had to kind of play it like a simple chess game, but points out about their main goal at hand. And this is issue 2. I think issue 2 is slightly mediocre, but again, it just kind of felt like rushing Wolverine a little too quickly in the next issue felt a little out of place. I think at least while the first X-Men movie wasn't great, it at least showed Wolverine kind of this guy with a shady past. We kind of saw how once he joined the X-Men, he actually had a family and everything he wanted, and we even kind of saw how over the X-Men films, to Days of Futures Past, him finally becoming more mature and trying to be the voice of reason to the past Xavier. I think this one is not the best, but it's kind of alright. So I think it deserves a thumbs in the middle. It's kind of alright, kind of okay, but slightly mediocre. So, comic reviewer here, signing out.